you know, the sun in the constellation of a fellow water sign. So things should be going well for you guys, I feel, for this month. At least, you know, people are going to be a lot more receptive to your ideas. You're going to be a lot more persuasive. It's whatever that has, or whoever, or whatever situation or circumstances that have been difficult to kind of mold to your favor. I feel like this is the time for things to start, you know, picking up in that arena. It's time for you to start making traction in the world the way that you want. And I also see as well a lot of increases when it comes to finances as well. So I do feel, you know, things are looking. There is another thing that worries me a little bit, so I want to talk to you about that first before, you know, we get the spread out here for this month's reading. And I had a conversation with a Piscean person a few days ago, and she has a habit of making, you know, decisions that aren't very wise. And I don't deal with her extensively, so I never understood the pathology behind, you know, some of her reasoning or her rationale or her decision-making skills until she actually came to me and asked for advice regarding this big decision that she was planning to make. And I was sitting there dumbfounded by, you know, her suggestions because it just seemed like, you know, so counterintuitive. And it just didn't seem like it was the logical way to problem solve. And so after that conversation, I feel like the key word that I'm trying to convey for you guys is this idea about containment, okay? Containment. And I feel like it speaks volume. I've been doing, you know, readings for you guys for years. And the one thing that just I can't really wrap my head around is because, you know, as an Aquarius, I'm super independent. But I've seen a lot of Piscean people, they get into this trap where they need a partner in crime. They need somebody kind of like next to them to kind of like, it's not even just strength in numbers. It's just, you know, feeling a lot more whole and secure and complete when there is another person by your side, like that partner in crime. And so a lot of the times in the process of you know, trying to find that sense of wholeness or completion, you might gravitate towards the wrong people, or you might settle for the wrong relationship partner, or even the wrong partner in crime. And then other times, it's almost like you have some great ideas, but you don't really make a move, you don't really make a change because you're just like, I'm just waiting for that confirmation. I'm just waiting because I'm not secure enough to make this decision on my own. And so this idea of containment comes in because she was suggesting, so she had this problem. And I'm like, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to solve this problem? And then she goes, well, I can't do it. I'm going to get this person involved and then that person involved, and then everything is going to sort itself out. And I'm like, okay, so you actually have this one problem. You've been dealing with it for a really long time. You keep going back to it, going back to it. It keeps rearing its ugly head. And so what you really need to do is cut it off, contain it. You really need to cut it off from everything else so that you can really understand and get to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is a lot simpler than you would think, because through your eyes and through your lens, everything is related. We can't have one without the other, you know, cause and effect. And so things become very complicated in your view of the world, in your view of one simple concept. Everything is interconnected, everything is interrelated. And that's also one of the detriments of being, you know, the last sign of the zodiac, where you embody all the good traits and all the bad traits of all the previous 11 signs. And so this is the way you view your world. We can't do things on our own. We need other people, and that's true. And then there's also this idea of, you know, everyone's got baggage. We all have baggage. So we need to accept the good with the bad, and that is a very noble concept. But at the same time, I feel like it takes away, you know, individual free will, and it also kind of downplays our own personal accountability for ourselves and our own sense of personal accountability for other people. So what I was trying to tell her was, if there's a problem, you need to contain it. You need to put a circle around it. Don't let anything enter this problem, because it makes it more complicated. It complicates things in your head. And then don't let anything leave this circle. Contain it, quarantine it. And what that does is that it allows you kind of like to solve this problem in a vacuum, so that you can understand how it works. You can understand what you thought was influencing it. Once you contain it, you realize, oh, that has nothing to do with it. That is totally unrelated. So I feel like containment is a major, major theme, because this energy about one thing bleeding into another, this energy about, having boundary issues, having other people encroach on your boundaries, and then encroaching on other people's boundaries too. I feel like that was a lot stronger than you, that you couldn't contain, and they were fighting and struggling. There was a lot of power struggle. What do I do now? How do I move forward? And so let's just, get to the essence of a problem. If there is a situation and you're racking your brains trying to figure out, how did it come to this? What can I do now? You really want to contain it, and you really want to ask yourself, do I have any control over it? And once you get to the fundamental of what it really is, and once you identify it and, clearly understand what is at stake here, I feel like it's going to make the problem-solving process a lot easier for you, okay? And aside from that, what I'm feeling is, that whole sense of personal accountability, okay? And so looking at a situation at the past and just kind of thinking to yourself or telling yourself, how did my actions or my contributions, worsen or lighten the situation? And you really want to try to be honest with yourself. Did I contribute to it in a positive way or in a negative way? How did the other person contribute to a situation? Did they contribute it negatively or positively? And so doing so allows both parties to hold themselves personally accountable. But more than anything, it's not just, accepting people and their baggage and accepting that things don't change. It's just the way that people are made, and they come to the picture with all this baggage, and we just have to learn to deal with it. Well, no, that's not entirely healthy. It's not entirely healthy. We should try to shed baggage as much as possible. And so that whole concept of containment allows you to identify what you absolutely need, what you absolutely cannot live without, and what you can definitely scrap away, so that you can have less baggage, so that you have less emotional hang-ups, and that you can, move on to a more prosperous and carefree future. And so I'm going to leave it at that, and, draw one last card for you so that we can go into this reading here. So I feel like with this spread, we can't have new things without letting go of the old. And I believe it was the same message for Scorpios. And so maybe it's a water sign thing. I haven't done Cancers yet, but let me just talk about this. Okay, so first of all, this card really jumped out at me. The World in the reverse is being in a situation where we're kind of like mired in pity for another person. Okay, and we're kind of like keeping ourselves stuck, like, oh, maybe things are going to get better. Maybe things are going to change. Maybe that person I left behind, or I, cut off contact with, or I'm not communicating with, maybe they've had a change of heart, or maybe, they just came into a sense of like higher consciousness. So then they're going to contact me and they're going to apologize for all of their behaviors in the past. So this is kind of like, idealistically keeping ourselves stuck and keeping ourselves in limbo, in the hopes that somebody would turn around, in the hopes that somebody would make a change, like a miraculous change. We're not talking about, small steps. We're talking you thinking that somebody is going to make a drastic change and then contact you, and then everything will be better, and then you're going to be able to, I want to say, cycle back into that situation. For many of you, I feel like this is a relationship we're talking about here. where you've had multiple cycles and run-ins and, cyclical patterns with another person. Every time you try to leave, they kind of convince you to stay. And I feel like you might have been dealing with somebody where there was a lot of power struggles. I mean, this card usually seems to me like one person is steering the course of the relationship, or they're steering, it's like other people's lives are dependent upon this person. And there was a lot of control issues. And I feel as well the relationship was very turbulent. It's not that, one person is helping the other getting to a safer haven or a safer, a place with smoother waters. It's the opposite of that, where there's a lot of control issues, where one person wants to rebel or one person wants their independence and the other person is threatened by that sense of independence. And so for some of you, this can definitely be a family member. Dealing with children, arguments over, this is how you should raise this child, parenting styles. And then for others of you, a past relationship partner that might have had either some sort of control issues towards you, or there were serious breach of boundaries when it comes to, your own sense of independence, and they're kind of exerting themselves on you. Or you were the one trying to assert your independence, or you were trying to overpower the relationship partner. I do feel massive power plays at hand here. And so if you were dealing with that, I feel like it was, there was definitely a lot of love and a lot of appreciation in that relationship. But together as a unit, just energetically, you and the other person could not work, could not agree, could not come to a consensus, could not make things, it's like not even being able to agree to disagree. It was that bad. And so there were words that were said that could not be taken back. There were things that were irrevocable, such as getting divorced, such as separation, such as stepping out on the relationship, or even such as doing a lot of things that you regret. Okay, this is a water sign energy, and it's paralleling your energy, where you're dealing with sadness and regret, something that you feel like, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have let the other person go. I should have seen what was in front of me. I should not have taken it for granted, because once it's knocked down, it can't get back up and it can't refill itself. So I definitely feel there's a lot of regrets here, and you're hoping for kind of like this massive miracle. Maybe one day they'll come back. Maybe the situation will right itself. Maybe. And we're not talking, small steps. We're talking you wanting this massive miracle, and definitely it's not realistic. However, I feel like the energy that's pulling you, you're going to have to make some very deep-rooted emotional changes in your own life, okay? Sort things out. Try to contain problems. If there's a problem, try to contain it, try to fix it. Do not get other people involved in it. Do not try to kind of like pass the buck, which is basically, I feel like, really owning up to things. And then if you're dealing with someone who has also mistreated you, allowing them to own up to things, own up to their actions, own up to consequences of their actions. So I feel like some of you are very sympathetic. You're just very sympathetic to, somebody who's suffering. And so if it's an ex-relationship partner, they can easily tell you, I really miss you. I really want to see you, even though they've done something that's unforgivable. And then they say things like, oh, I can't live without you. And then you're kind of like mired in this pity. And you're just like, if I were to walk away, it's so mean of me. How are they going to survive without me? So once again, think about, if they messed up and they haven't really apologized for that one act that they messed up on, how is the relationship going to move forward? What is going to be, the motivation if you were to move back, if you were to go back to it? Does that really change anything? Does that allow them to be accountable for their actions. Okay, so I feel like it's a very, very, cyclical pattern, and I don't want to read this energy. I've been feeling it for months, and it keeps coming back, keeps coming back. So I don't know how to clear this energy, and I hope that you guys can, do this. And we have a lot of changes that are in store for you, a lot of positive things that are kind of breaking through. New jobs, new income generating opportunities as well. It's going to be, it's in the reverse. So it's going to be a little bit unexpected. It's going to require a lot more work than you're used to, but it definitely is capable of building. We possibly have new jobs overseas where you're going to be able to, start a new life, see new things, have brand new sites, come into contact with brand new people that might be ethnically, culturally, linguistically different from you. But you're not ready to make that step, and that's fine. But I just want you to know the opportunities are there. We have guaranteed success and abundance that's in store for you as well. And then you're sitting there doubting it, questioning it. You're sitting there like, oh, it's too good to be true. I don't know if I'm ready. And so, dragging your feet, kind of like straddling the fence and not really budging. So there's a lot of energies here about free will, but I feel like you need that partner in crime. You need that other person to be by your side and kind of like holding your hands while you're going through this transition. Otherwise, you keep kind of flip-flopping back and forth, okay? So there are so many flip-flopping energies. Lack of certainty. Going back to a situation that you're no longer, it's like you have already emotionally checked out, but you keep going back to it. And I want to scream out at this point, like, why, Pisces? Why? And we also have as well, going back to a situation that is very turbulent, that is causing a lot of grief and a lot of sadness, and not being able to extract yourself, and yet it's still happening. So that's what I'm sensing here. At the center of the spread, we do have two people. One of them is you, of course. Two people no longer interacting, no longer connecting. So this is your energy where you're trying to make amends, where you're trying to find peace and I want to say find peace and contentment, where you are trying your best to kind of like understand the problem, understand what went wrong, and understand like, how did I contribute to this? How did the other person contribute to this? And then on the other end of it, I feel like people are fleeing. People are just like, we don't want to talk about this anymore. So stop dwelling on it, let it go, and fix whatever that needs to be fixed. Don't dwell on it anymore. I'm not interested. So we have here a very strong fire sign. So this is a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. And this person is just, they're not interested. They're moving. They're already out of the picture. They're not interested in what you have to say. They're not interested in trying to fix the situation. There was a lot of grief and sadness associated with this. And I definitely feel for many of you, reputation, status, prestige, finances, money was greatly linked up with the other person. And you're trying to fix this. You're trying to, salvage what is left. But they're already moving on to other opportunities. They're already moving on to, greener pastures is what I'm sensing. And I feel like, in the midst of all this, we have one person feeling very sad, and the other person is like, done, I'm done, I'm moving on. And they're moving on to new things. And I feel like you want to embody this energy too. You don't want to keep yourself stuck in the past. You need new things. You need to travel. You need to rebuild your empire, your financial foundation, because that's what it seems like you need right now. And yet there's a lot of things that you need to contain at this present moment. Don't let your emotions get away from you. Don't make these, I want to say like, don't complicate things by, you know, if there are problems, contain them, try to fix them one by one. Trying to make amends, trying to fix them one by one. Do not complicate things and think they're all related. They're probably not all related. And so I feel that, you know, focusing on this and really admitting when we have a problem too, that's going to be quite crucial for you. I feel like, you know, new work, new positive opportunities are coming into the picture. But I feel like in your emotional state right now, it's not looking too great. And I apologize for that. But I just feel that this too can be salvaged, okay? It's not the end of the world. We acknowledge things about ourselves that we've kept hidden from other people. We need to also acknowledge that we might have a problem when it comes to, you know, being on our own. And personal accountability is really big here because you're dealing with an energy that is very no nonsense, very straight laced. And this energy here of a fire sign is, I feel like they don't have any suspicions until there's cause for suspicion. So I feel that that's what's going on here. We have a lot of things that show me, you know, juxtaposition. It's like one thing, you know, that's going to bring you a lot of success versus a lot of doubts and a lot of hesitation and a lot of choices opening up. And you're just like, I'm used to this. I'm used to certainty. And now you're dealing with, you know, decisions that you have to make that are very, very uncertain. And then at the same time, we're dealing with this opposing energy, what you really want deeply on an emotional level versus what the people around you want, what your reputation wants, what your professional life wants, you know, which is more excitement, more fun. But I feel like you're kind of like pulling at odds with yourself. So for this month, try to contain things, okay? Try to figure out what are some of the things that I need to work on. And what are some of the things that I have control over? What is the biggest problem that's really weighing me down at this present moment? And then try to, you know, write that down as a single, you know, line. And then really ask yourself, what can I do to fix it? Do that one by one, and all of these, you know, problems, all of these obstacles that have kept you very stuck, kept you stagnant, kept you from moving, I feel like they're going to lift away. And I feel like many of you need to get away. You just need to get away. There's so much energy about movement that is stalled. These are all stalled energy, trying to break away and feeling stuck, trying to break away again, but then under somebody else's command. So let's work on this first of all. If you feel stuck, if you feel stagnant, staying in the same place is not going to change anything. So I feel like it's really important for you to just kind of like grab life by the horns and just move things your way rather than waiting on somebody else to make the decisions, okay? So I hope the reading has been helpful here, Pisces. I do wish you all the best, and please, I just hope this energy dissipates so that we don't have to, you know, read it again next month, okay? Please take care of yourself. I do worry about you guys sometimes because you're so compassionate. So just take care of yourself, okay? Take care of yourself first, all right? I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.